everyone, welcome back to GoLocal Live. I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Nagel. Thanks for joining us this Friday afternoon to kick off the start to your Memorial Day weekend here in downtown Providence, but we're Skyping out to a familiar face to most. Former Cranston Mayor Steve Laffey is going to be in town for a GOP fundraiser on June 2nd and wanted to Skype in to talk with us. So Mayor, appreciate your joining us today.
I am very excited to be with you, Kate. I really am. I think it's great. You guys do a great job. I actually go and check on some things at your place. It seems like you've taken over in many ways some of these videos. So good for you guys. Hard work and some fair reporting. So very happy for you.
Well, appreciate the support. We work hard here in Providence. And of course, we're curious when we heard that you're going to be back in town for a GOP fundraiser. We did see an election season, obviously no statewide offices taken by the GOP here. We had Sue Cienki in the new chair of the party to talk about her vision moving forward, which is obviously a focus on the assembly in the next 2-year cycle. What are you planning to talk about when you are here for this GOP fundraiser?
Yeah, the backdrop is simply this. For the until 2001, having left college basically 20 years earlier, right? The place was in disarray. The first meeting, Mayor Scott Averdician has to stop the meeting, come over to me, doesn't know who I am, very politely say, it's not always like this. But it was. So as Dan York said about 10 years ago, they should close the whole thing down and start all over again. He was right. It's never been like this. But for the first time, I hear that a lady who's conservative, who's pro-life, who fights the unions, public sector unions, has been elected chairman. And I get a phone call from a buddy of mine who says, hey, and I said, this is the greatest news of all time. And the person says, hey, could you come back in and speak to us? I said, yeah, let's draw the conservative people back out of the woodwork because, Kate, they have left. They're up in Burrillville doing good work at local councils. They're doing stuff, but they're not part of the party because the non-functioning Harputian wing of the party has destroyed, keeps destroying the Republican Party. They don't close their primaries, et cetera, et cetera. So I actually talked to Sue Cienki, and I'm like, wow, of course. And I say, listen, I have a Bowdoin College reunion. I'll be done on June 2nd at about noon. I'll head to Rhode Island anyway to eat food and hang out with about 40 of my buddies at Tommy's Pizza or wherever we end up at, Cafe Bon Ami or Spoonham's. And they say, can you make a speech? So I called Scully, Doc Scully, who helps run with Mike Stenhouse, the Freedom Organization over there. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So we're going to be June 2nd. I get it right here. 6 to 8 o'clock at the Chapel Grill. And Freddie's not with us. He passed away. Poor guy. Wonderful guy. But 3,000 Chapel Hill, and all Republicans who are Republicans should show up that night because we're going to be rocking the house.
So talk us a little bit. You kind of did allude to sort of what you'll be talking about as well. Obviously, Sue mentioned that they're focusing on statewide the General Assembly in the next 2-year cycle. But there's always that question as to what is the direction of the party here in Rhode Island. There are some that say it should go towards the center and be more moderate, and some that say they should go towards more conservative principles of the Republican Party. What's your sense? Is it not that simple? Is it really district by district in terms of who the candidate is to identify? And is that what the GOP really needs to do, is to, again, get that farm team?
The Republican Party of Rhode Island disassociates itself from national party. It goes after the message, and the message is, listen, it's at YouTube. It's called Steve Laffey's Fixing America. It's like an hour long. It's the same thing. But you got to get people back into the party. Bring back the good Mike Napolitano, who was excommunicated because, he didn't think Fung would win the governorship. Nobody thought he was going to win the governorship. They didn't think they should spend $30,000 in the Republican Party and give it to the Fung election. They should give it to local election. They should have. So hopefully Sue Cienki's cleaning house, bringing back the message, and attracting candidates. One, districts you can win. There are at least 10 districts that you can win that we haven't won.
Okay.
Let's get good candidates, and then let's bring back in the training sessions. Listen, when I became the mayor of Cranston, I think people know this, I knocked on every single door. You can't get kooky people with beards down to here wearing something crazy on their head and say, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm going to be the mayor of Providence. It's a loserville. It's the Harputian wing, I call it, right? If he's still around, wandering around. It's the people in it for jobs. They were in it for when I was there when Kucheri was the governor, it was like, how do I not make Governor Kacheri upset because I want a job for my friend? It was really the Democratic Party calling it the Republican Party. So Sue has a message. They're going to get money. We're going to raise money for the first time. The whole thing's paid for already, this event. Bring your friends, come to it, and then they've got to close the primary. And yes, they've got to be what Republicans should stand for. Balanced budgets, transparency. Listen, they've had this majority rule of the elites in Rhode Island for 75 years. How's Rhode Island doing? All I did this morning, Kate, was glance at GoLocal Proud, hit up something on Google like Rhode Island Disaster Financial, Providence going broke, and I got articles everywhere. I mean, just so you know, and by the way, they're in your paper. You know, Rhode Island still has the worst rural payments in America. Shocking. It's not shocking. It's obviously the worst run place of all time. And the Governor Raimondo, you know, giving away the store just recently to the fire union again, to the whole state about overtime, is a death blow. But can I just tell you one thing, Kate?
What's that, Mayor?
You know, when I was away for 20 years, I came back and became the mayor. And to me, everything I did was normal. Because in Tennessee, where I was, or even Maine, where I was, or the places I visited, the things I suggested, running surpluses, blah, blah, were normal. So I went to Colorado. Let me give you an example and ask everybody, here's the message I would give if I was running the party, if I was running for office. Here's my house in Cranston, Rhode Island. I sold for $219,000 in 2009. Today on Zillow, it's worth $250,000. Looks like it's the normal house of Rhode Island. It's up 12, 15% in 10 years. Property taxes, $4,500. Here's Fort Collins, Colorado. Here's 6 bedrooms. Here's 3 times the size, a much nicer house. Property taxes, $4,000. The house that looks like this in Fort Collins, Colorado, the property taxes are $1,500. The extra $3,000 per year that people are paying to support lousy education, terrible road, corruption, could be used to paint that home.
Well, Mayor,
That's money we got to get back.
If it's truly the pocketbook issues that the party is looking to push and advocate for in the next election cycle, you know, why has that not resonated with Rhode Island voters to date? I mean, here we are, 2019. Again, you see a number of candidates do push that. What's it going to take to move the needle?
It's going to take a charismatic leader to lead the party, to lead in statewide races, and to put what I just said in front of every single person, whether it's driving around an RV, going door to door, uniting people instead of dividing people within the party, and going to communities like the Black community in Providence, and the minority community in Providence, Hispanic community in Providence, saying, let me ask you a question. How many of your kids can read? How's this worked out for you? I'll give you an example. I run the Laffey household schooling here, right here. We homeschool. I got my religion when I left office in January of 2007. Excuse me, I don't know what that is. In January 2007, I realized that my kids didn't know any math. They knew about math, they didn't know any math. I've been homeschooling them ever since. We can educate kids for a third of what the Providence school system does it for and get good results. A third. Where's that message the last 10 years? It's not coming from the Republican Party. Where are the charter schools? Is it still just, by the way, is it still just one charter school in the state? Is it up at Lincoln? Is it like the guy who's lieutenant governor? Is that still what's going on?
No, there are multiple charter schools. There are the mayoral academies, but every year there seems to be sort of that push and pull at the State House as to charter schools that are in the pipeline versus the public schools that, you know, there's that tugging that as you know, that push and pull. So, you know, pocketbook issues, education issues. What do you see the Trump factor as being as we look ahead to 2020?
I don't really see it as a factor. It's a total divorce. People who I'm not talking about Mr. Trump not doing some good things and some bad things. We can talk about that. I'm just saying, if you're running for office in Rhode Island, you're talking about these things. You're going to get people's faces. You're going to show the face of your state rep in a district we can win. You're going to get candidates that can raise money. When I was the mayor, nearly every night, I went out and helped people win races. The governor Kacheri, just so you know how he operated, he would say he's coming, but he wouldn't come. The day before, someone would call me, Diane Parola, some beautiful people would call me, Dave Cote down in South Kingstown. Hey, Mayor, the governor's not coming. I'm like, after like about 20 of these, I'm like, shocking. He's not coming. No. So, of course, I was the second guy that would come. I would always go. I'd be like, honey, and I bring my kids. So we've got to get this message back at starting on June 2nd that the Republican Party needs to talk about these issues. What's more important to people than their kids' education? Where's the worst education you can find? It's in Providence, Rhode Island. People are not learning. How can people still talk about the stupidest things that I read in on your thing? Like the stupidest things other than all these teachers need to be fired. Every member of the city council of Providence needs to resign. The mayor needs to resign. They've destroyed that city. The capital city has to be healthy. It has to be healthy for the other cities to be healthy. They need to go through a bankruptcy in Providence, Rhode Island. I'd be happy to be the guy to reorganize it. They need to cut the pensions. And after Sicily destroyed the city and got rewarded, that message simply isn't out there. It's the Republicans who've been running, guys at the top had only been supporting the inside group, and they keep losing. There's not been a state holder of an office in Rhode Island since I left the state, has there? And I told you that there wouldn't be one, and there hasn't been. So I told you that Shady would win, and he won.
You talk about coming back for overseeing a bankruptcy. Would you come back to Rhode Island?
Yes, I would. Well, I miss it greatly. It's hard to be sort of like a Russian dissident, you know.
Is that what you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself a Russian dissident?
I'm being hyperbolic. I saw there could be an article about me comparing myself to Solzhenitsyn. I'm not. He was a brave man. I'm just a regular dude hanging out here. But ask yourself the question, when I told people in spring of 2010, if you close the primary, I'll do this and I'll lead the team. If you don't, I'm not raising my children here. So I buy a place here, 36 acres in the city. I sell the first 16 acres here 2 years later for more than I pay for the whole thing. And what I'm left with is twice what I paid for the original thing. Could I have done that in Rhode Island? I just showed you the house. Could I have done that in Rhode Island? No. Now, I'm not saying I do that now. I'm here now and I've got kids, but I'm not averse to making a decision. I'm getting to the age where, here's the truth, and everybody I think knows this. When I wake up in the morning, I'm sort of in Cranston, Rhode Island. People know this who know me, and even though the people who hate me, they still know this. So when I walk out of a movie theater in Fort Collins, Colorado, I'm still walking out of the Park Cinema. Like mentally, if I come out of a movie theater, I'm coming out of the Park Cinema in Cranston, Rhode Island. That's who I am. So, but I have these children that need to be raised. And they need to be raised in a place that's not crazy, in a place that's cohesive. I need to make money. So I've come here and made a lot of money. So, but yes, the answer is, I'm not saying I would or wouldn't, but as I get to this point, where are my closest friends? Where are the people who I talk to almost every day? Mm. They're within, 6 miles of where you're sitting. For the most part, I have friends all over the country and actually all over the world. I've been very blessed to have very close friends from Harvard Business School, Bowdoin College, Memphis, Tennessee. I was just there a couple of weeks ago. That's a very tough place to go to. Very lot of crime. But where am I happiest? I'm happiest at Cafe Bon Ami in the morning, eating a muffin. Malcolm's yelling. I'm drinking a cup of coffee. Joe the barber is screaming at me, saying Laffey, blah, blah, blah.
You can leave Rhode Island, but Rhode Island never leaves you. But you're coming back June 2nd.
I'll be back.
Chapel View for the GOP.
Yes. And listen, I'm happy to help anybody who wants to help. I love Rhode Island. But the situation was such that I had to make a decision. And there were other personal decisions regarding one of my daughters and a very bad health problem that she was saved here. I mean, one of my daughters. And many people know I have another daughter with a totally unrelated bad situation with cancer that's been going on for 4 years. So listen, I've been very blessed. I got a beautiful wife. I got 6 kids. I haven't worked since I was 38 effectively. So I never wanted to be the richest guy, but I've been able to do what I want. But what I'd like to do one day is fix, if I could, if people wanted it, if I felt like people wanted it, is to fix, we fixed my hometown. And that was a great labor of love. I mean, I love being the mayor of Cranston. I loved it more than anything. And I didn't love it really so much for the financial stuff. I loved it for the people that, you know, if there was a flood coming, you could go help people. There were kids pulled over the side of the road. I put my mayor's lights on. I go help them. I like giving people some hope that things could change, you know? And if I had ever been able back then to get a hold of the whole Republican Party instead of Governor Kucheri and his disastrous stuff that he did with nothing, no growth, no nothing, we would have won. But you don't actually go back and find these people and hang them by their toes, figuratively, for the disasters they cause, whether it's going to find Bill Clinton about North Korea or George Bush about, you know, Iraq. They destroy things, but you can't go find them anymore. But hopefully the chance for rebirth, and it's because things are getting so bad in Rhode Island that, you know, how many people call me and still email that they just left the state for good?
And you're going to be coming back to the GOP GOP fundraiser, little Freudian slip, on June 2nd, again at Chapel View. Wanted to just have you on, Mayor, talk with folks about what you're going to talk about and more with the GOP, again, looking towards 2020 here in Rhode Island. So appreciate your taking the time to Skype in from Colorado.
I appreciate what you guys do, and I'm really looking forward to driving in from Brunswick, Maine. I leave LL Bean at about noon with some blueberry coffee, and I head south. And hopefully I get there by the time Cafe Bottomie closes, and I'll be up there speaking. So people who are listening, you've got to come. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good get together. We've got to bring the conservative people back into the fray so they can win some elections. Close the primary, win 10 elections, maybe 12 that you can win, and build from there.
Okay, well, we're going to continue to keep an eye on politics here. And of course, you're coming back for the fundraiser. So Mayor Laffey from Colorado, thank you for taking the time to Skype in.
Thank you. God bless. We appreciate it. Thank you, Kate.
Okay, we're going to let you go.